going on, Jerome's? So it is NFL mock draft season, and as we've said before, Bucky Brooks as well as Daniel Jeremiah, two of my favorites, guys that put in the work, guys that grind the tape, guys that still work their contacts. Both of them formerly NFL scouts, and Bucky Brooks played in the league back in the day. But we don't forget. We do not forget. But Bucky put out his mock draft 1.0, and the Vikings shore things up along the defensive line. Also, this is going to be a damn good wide receiver class. I feel like every single draft class nowadays is a really good wide receiver class, but let's dive on in. So Caleb Williams, 1 to the Bears. I don't think there's trades in this one. May to the Commies, Jaden Daniels, 3 to the Patriots. I think that this is probably going to happen. Win, play, show for the 3 quarterbacks in some order. Then Harrison Jr. I mean, you're the Cardinals, hashtag blessed. You're just chilling. You're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. for Kyler, and life is good, man. Brock Bowers going to the Chargers. I think people will make a stink as like, oh, why are you taking a tight end so high? Brock Bowers is literally going to change things for Justin Herbert. Like, he will be prime Travis Kelce and what he did for Mahomes. That's exactly what's going to happen, man. I mean, also the Chargers, like, they had Antonio Gates. You know how you can use a mismatch right in the middle of the field. Rome Odunze is the second wide receiver off the board, going to the Giants, where, I mean, they could go QB. Maybe they'll go quarterback second round, but dudes they go adding to the mix here, getting Daniel Jones some weapons. Olafashu is the first tackle off the board with the Tennessee Titans. He and Skoronski together on the left side of that offensive line. I mean, that's pretty good for Will Levis and company. Dallas Turner, Falcons pass on quarterback, but Turner's a physical freak. He's only 20 years old. He's going to be a guy that develops even further. And plus, if Belichick does indeed get the head coaching job in Atlanta, Turner as the stand-up outside linebacker in that defense is going to be fantastic. The Bears, so they got Caleb Williams and Latu, second edge rusher off the board. I like that pairing a lot, him and Sweat long-term, and if Latu's medicals check out, he's going to be a beast. Joe Alt, you got to protect Aaron Rodgers' ass, and also Mekhi Becton is not working out, so Alt goes to the Jets. And then there's like Aaron Rodgers and Alt jokes to be made, but this is a family channel. 11. So the Vikings picking up Jared Verse from Florida State. Now, I love Jared Verse. I think he's an absolute beast, but there are, we'll get into it. So this is what Bucky wrote. Adding an athletic pass rusher to the lineup will enhance the Vikings' aggressive scheme under Brian Flores. The Florida State standout flashes double-digit potential as a sack artist, which is better than a sandwich artist, which is what Marcus Davenport's going to be doing here in 2 seconds. Not that I have anything against Subway workers, but so Jared Verse, he's 23, so that's one knock against him. Yes, you're going to have older prospects because of the Rona year and also NIL money, but it's understandable. But he's going to be 24 in November. 24. And he is 3 years older than Dallas Turner, which is crazy. But, I mean, Verse is a big reason why Florida State went 13-0 this season. He's 6'4", 260, transferred in from FCS Albany, who's very lightly recruited coming out of high school. Transferred to FSU in 2022, was a big-time get for the Seminoles, and became a 2-time first-team All-American, 60 pressures and 9 sacks this season, a 91 PFF pass rush grade, and if he would have declared last year, I think he probably would have been a back end of the first round pick. I think like he, Jermaine Johnson sort of in that back end area, but I mean, Verse came back and was an absolute monster. He's got a great first step, good use of hands, good bend, NFL caliber strength. And it's not just because of the dimensions and because he wears number 5, but I've seen in some of the scouting reports like Kayvon Thibodeau, like a poor man's Kayvon Thibodeau with better bend. I think that is relatively apt. But downside is, so the Vikings want to stick with this 3-man front. I mean, half of his snaps were standing up at Florida State this season, most of them coming on the right side, but his coverage skills are nada. But also, if you stick with a 3-4, and you're not going to be dropping Verse into coverage very often, right? But him being edge rusher 3 off the board, I would give the slight edge to Dallas Turner just because of age, and also I think he would fit in better schematically. Latu's a wild card because of his medicals, but his production can't be denied. But Verse here at 11. So you have your choice of Verse. You would have your choice of the cornerbacks. Terrion Arnold is all up in there. You have your choice of the defensive tackles. You have your choice of the second tier of quarterbacks. But if the Vikings stick and pick and take a verse, especially with Danielle Hunter's situation up in the air, I mean, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Broncos get Terry Arnold, so Bama at cornerback is pretty damn good. Run on tackles, Fuaga to the Raiders, Latham to the Saints. Malik Neighbors falls out of the top 14, so he goes to the Colts. I think that this is going to be fun. So Pittman could leave in free agency and Neighbors with Richardson long term. Let's go, man. Byron Murphy the second, like we said. So it's interesting. So Daniel Jeremiah had Murphy going to the Vikings at 11, and that did raise a couple eyebrows. Now Bucky has Murph in the top half of the first round, going to the Seahawks, which, I mean, that would be really good too, man. But here's what happens. So you have two former NFL scouts who knows how, who have a general sense how a team thinks and how to properly assess prospects. Plus, I mean, they certainly still have ties to current executives and current scouts, and they're relaying what they hear about certain prospects. And both of them have Murph in the top half of the first round, but draft nerds see on the simulators, well, I could get Murphy in the second round. This mock draft is invalid. Nah. It's ridiculous. Plus, it's very early in the process. But Murph and Sweat back to back. Now, it would be interesting. So, Sweat, a true blue nose tackle. People will poo-poo this, but you look at Dexter Lawrence with the Giants. That worked out pretty well. I mean, first round nose tackle, and the Jaguars definitely could use a bully in the middle of that defense. Brian Thomas Jr. LSU has just been stacked at receiver, man. Going to the Bengals, helping take the starch out of losing T. Higgins. Stafford gets his replacement in Bo Nix, Bonos. Mims to the Steelers. JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, probably the best interior offensive lineman in this class. He goes to Miami, and they definitely need some help on that interior offensive line. Wiggins goes to the Eagles. Their secondary has been trash this year. Fotanu going to the Texans. It's like a good tackle class, offensive tackle class as well. Guyton going to the Cowboys. Kool-Aid going to the Packers. I mean, they probably should just cut bait with Jar, right? Keon Coleman to the Bucks. He stays in the great state of Florida. So, I mean, Coleman, it's funny. So Coleman is probably going to leave in free agency. Evans is going to leave in free agency. And Keon Coleman is another, like, slower, big-bodied, physical type receiver. Kind of funny, man. Jordan Morgan go to the Cardinals. First, you buy the house, then you buy the insurance. So you got Marvin Harrison Jr. for Kyler, and now you got some protection for Kyler. There you go. The Bills, man, Buffalo Bills are going to love Cooper DeJean. So he's a great return man, also great DB. They definitely need some help in that secondary. Jenkins going to Kansas City. Man, that's annoying. So Jenkins is going to be what Dontari Poe is supposed to be. And also, if they lose Chris Jones, having some physicality in that middle, it's going to be great. Chop Robinson, gross. I hate it. So Chop Robinson sneaks into the first round. He goes to Detroit. Man, him and Hutchinson long term, gross. Mitchell. So I feel like Mitchell coming out of Toledo, people are going to poo-poo him because of competition in the MAC, but dude was just completely a shutdown corner, man. So he goes to the Niners. The rich get richer. And then Braylon Trice, a real name, no gimmicks, going to the Ravens. Already looks good in purple. And yet again, hey, I thought the Ravens were supposed to be bad since they didn't tank for a draft pick. But consistently, they just rack up and stack up that front seven. It's ridiculous, man. But, the Vikings chapter and verse bring in Jared from Florida State. Don't mind it. He went to Jared. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.